One-Page Lion, Age of Rampant. We are playing sausages with mustard using the Age of Fantasy one-page rules. We have to mix this up a little bit, about a 750-point battle. The difference is we're going to be playing more than 4 turns today, and our units are going to have to do activation. That's how we're going to match this up to make this scenario work. Without it, you only get 4 turns. This scenario won't work. In the center of the table, there are 4 piles of skulls. The objective for the Havoc brothers is to destroy at least 3 of these piles while preserving half of their force. Note that the mummified undead only have 1 unit of skeletons, spearmen, with the full complement of leaders on the table at the start of the game. In Lion Rampant, you get 4 army points out of your 24. These are 145 points out of the 750. It's really closer to 1/5, but we'll let it slide. The units you see in the back are not on the table to start. They have to pass an activation to deploy onto the table, 3 inches onto the table. Notice every unit has a little green chip by it. That's to indicate that they have not activated. We're going to do alternating activations, but when you nominate a unit, you have to pass a quality check for them to actually take that turn. What that does is it lengthens the game to, we'll call it 12 turns. After 12 turns, we'll stop and we'll count up the victory points. If the Havoc brothers have destroyed 3 of these while preserving half their force, they will be the winners. Any other result, half of the Havoc brothers die, they lose. They only knock down 2 of these piles after 12 turns, they lose. The Havoc Warriors have deployed on the western side of the table their entire force. These are the Havoc Warriors. They've got their big boom boom boy, and then over here in the center of the table, we've got 2 units of Havoc Ogres. See, the guy in the stripy pants is the leader. You can tell because he's wearing the stripy pants. And then this unit of Ogres is actually led by a troll. It's fine. Most of the figures you see on the table come from the, what is it called? The old Demon World line, but I don't know, they're kind of a mix and mash of just whatever looked cool at the time. So this here in the center is, of course, the Havoc Master, and then, the big demon guy, he's called the Harbinger of Havoc. They get the first activation. We are in a hurry, so we're going to nominate our leader. He has a quality of 3+. With a result of a 4, he will activate before he attacks. He has a special ability called Dark March. He can nominate a unit nearby. We're going to nominate these guys, by the way. And we are going to send them moving up 6 inches. Well, hold on now. I'm playing in 15 millimeters. So cut everything in half. Those are either used to one-page rules. All you got to do, cut everything in half. So he's going to move 6 inches. That's his normal charge. Normally it would be 12. He's going to move 6. These guys could normally move 6, but they're going to move 3. The skeletal spearmen, not quite as effective at activating. They have a quality of 5. We got to try and move those guys first. Block this out, desperate to slow down the attackers. On a 4, they're not going to activate. We'll pull the green chip, and then we'll go ahead and nominate these guys. Let's get them into action. With a 6, they are going to be able to move, and they will race up 6 inches. The way the breaking of the skulls works, you have to be in contact with it at the start of your activation. So even if they got in touch with it right now, wouldn't be able to do anything until the next turn. To save us a little time, I went ahead and just rolled and moved the entire Havoc Brother force. They've got a lot of really low quality scores, so they're going to be activating pretty frequently. For the Mummified Undead, we're going to do the same thing. I'm just going to go from the foreground to the background. The skeletal archers here have a quality of 5. They're not going to move. But you know what? It occurs to me, we're going to give everybody a +1 if they're within 6 inches of their leader. Leader's not on the table, so no +1 this time. And what that'll do is it'll allow us to get stuck in a lot quicker. And that is lifted directly from Lion Rampant. Then we have our Royal Champion, and he is going to activate on a quality of 3+. So he'll get to come onto the table. He'll deploy 3 inches up to here. And then we've got our big bony giant. He is a 28 millimeter. I think he's a Rapham figure. You guys can correct me down in the comments. I'm sure you will. He has a quality of 4, so we need a 3 or better for him to activate, and he is going to come stomping onto the table. Now, we don't have to deploy him there. We can deploy him anywhere we want, and really that should probably affect, like, where you bring him in will depend on when, in a normal one-on-one game, you might want to alternate back and forth and not worry about saving time. But as I said, we're not doing that here. I'm going to bring these guys off just so I remember that they haven't activated yet. That last unit of skeletons, I'm going to try to deploy them, and I think I'm actually going to deploy them down south of this dune right here. They're going to roll a 1, and they're not even going to get on the table. Just a quick note on terrain as we head into turn number 2. The actual pieces of terrain block movement and line of sight, so the bushes and the tree trunks. The bases themselves, if you move across those, you can only move 6 inches this turn. You are 3 inches because we're playing half scale. The piece that you see right here, this was given to the channel by the guys over Attention Span Labs. That is quicksand. You can move through it, but it is hazardous terrain. Any turn you move through it, you can only move 3 inches, and you have to roll a d6. On a result of a 6, you take a wound. We're going to nominate the leader to try to activate first. He has a quality of 3. We really want to take advantage of that dark march. That's going to allow us to bring these guys up into the piece of terrain. That's about 1, 2, 3. That's about as far as they're going to get. They're still going to suffer from the effects of the dangerous terrain, but it does give them the opportunity to move at least 6 inches this turn if they get their activation. He is then going to move. We're going to go wide sweep. He can still move 6 inches. So we'll bring him around over to right about there. You can barely see him just through the tops of the trees there. And then, of course, we want to try to get these skeletons. We're going to bring them up to attack these guys. They are going to activate on a 1. Mummified Undead, just not getting it done. Then we have to decide, do we want to bring these guys up 3 inches to block, or do we put these guys in contact? Since they don't have to worry about this activating, we're going to try to activate these guys with a +1. They're going to fail. They're not moving. And this is why we are playing a total of 12 turns, because a lot of people just ain't going to do anything. Mummified Undead want to activate the big stompy giant. We're going to have to kill. We're going to have to try to get as many of these guys out of there as possible. He's got a quality of 4, but because he is within line of sight and 6 inches of his boss, he's going to get to move 6 inches. If the boss doesn't move this turn, he might lose that. And that was the difference. That's the role that good leaders play. So bouncing back over here, the blue chips are spell points. Our Harbinger has 2 of them. You only earn spell points if you successfully activate. Rolling to see on a 1, that's going to be a failure. Our Harbinger does have flight, by the way. That's how he was able to pop over those dunes so quickly and easily. The Bone Men are going to respond by, well, let's nobody's on the table yet. No bonuses, so let's try to move our leader, shall we? With the result of a 4, he is going to move. He might as well charge 6 inches. We're going to rush him over to fight the Harbinger. But it occurs to me that with 6 spell points, we might as well go ahead and drop 3 of those. He's a caster 3. We're going to try to cast Protection. Target 2 friendly units within 6 inches. Well, we've only got 1, but we're gonna hit that guy with Protection. If we can score anything but a 1, we get a 3. That's a success. That means the next time this guy fights, he is going to have a +1 on his defense rolls. Can we get the other unit of ogres into play? With a result of a 2, they don't have a bonus. This guy's too far away. They're a little reticent. I'm going to roll for the bowmen just to see if we get them on the board now. They're looking for a 5. They'll come on the board. I'll deploy them off camera so that I can roll for these guys. They are too far away. They roll a 1. They're not going to activate. And the last unit just trying to get on the board is the final unit of skeletal spearmen. A 2 ain't going to do it. That is the end of round number 2. Notice both sides have 5 units. That means the Havoc Warriors are always going to get the first activation of every turn. That's all right. It is turn 3. We're going to try to bring this unit of ogres up to smash into the skeletons. They are going to activate on a 3 or better. Because actually, it's going to be a 4 or better because the leader is too far away. We should have activated these guys. Live and learn, fellas. Live and learn. Can we bring these guys up to take out? We just want to slow this unit down. Rolling for activation. We get a 2. That's not going to do it. So these skeletons are just standing there in defensive formation. We have another opportunity to get in there, so we'll bring these ogres up to try and fight them. Now, those ogres are at +1. They have a 3, but unfortunately, they need a 4 to activate. They are also not going anywhere. Bear in mind, activating on a 4 or better means, on average, they'll get 6 activations in this game. Right now, they're 1 for 3. Not doing so great, guys. Trying to bring the skeleton giant up on a 3 or better. We roll a 6 for him, and he's going to blunder on up 6 inches. I know it looks like he's throwing a boulder. He's not. We're going to put him right here for now. That gives him the opportunity to go whichever way based on how the results of his next activation goes. We get the Harbinger. He's kind of doing a fly around the left-hand side here. Anything but a 1, and he scores the 1. Apparently, the Havoc leader here, who sold his soul for this demon to serve him, his soul wasn't worth as much as he expected. So we ourselves are going to fly back here to where the mummified undead are waiting to see who's going to activate next. We don't have line of sight, so neither of these guys get a +1. That means we're going to try to activate our leader man, and he is going to fail with a result of a 1. Just not a lot of motivation on either side today. We're going to try to bring the leader into position, quality 3. With a 5, he's going to rush up. A little bit vulnerable, but we need to knock down this pile of skulls as soon as possible. Then we're going to roll to see if the archers activate. They're too far away to shoot. Let's just see if they move. On a result of a 4, the skeleton archers are not going to move. And then we have this last unit of Havoc warriors. On a 5, they'll move up 5 inches. We'll bring them up something like right there. And then to the last roll is on a 5 or a 6. That last unit of skeleton spearmen will come onto the table. And they don't. To start turn 4, our Havoc Master is going to try to activate. He needs a 3 or better, and he gets it. Before he smashes the pile of skulls, he needs a 3 or better to succeed. He's going to issue an order, the Dark March. Who's within 6 inches? These guys are. He's going to tell these guys, hey, why don't you move 3 inches over to here? That gets them out of the gateway, the dark gate, and gets them pretty close. They're not going to be able to smash that pile of skulls this turn, but if they can just pass one more activation, they'll be in pretty good position. Now he can try to attack this pile of skulls, and on a 2, he's going to fail. Then these skeletons are going to try to take out the leader of the enemy, and with the result of a 1, they are also going to fail. We should probably try to smash this pile of skulls next, and on a 4, these ogres will activate, so we'll put them around the pile, getting ready to make their activation. On the next turn, they're going to be able to make that attack. Mummified undead, anything but a 1 or a 2, he's going to get to go. With a 5, he will activate, and he can move up 5 inches to here, which will help his fellas out because they are going to be able to take advantage. He is going to get 3 more of his spell points, and he's going to... we're going to cast another... No, we're not going to cast another spell just yet. That's good enough for now. Then can our Harbinger activate? And on a result of a 5, he finally will. So we're going to fly him up another 6 inches to here. And he will earn another 2 spell points himself. So we'll fix the color and then we'll drop another couple down. The next unit that wants to activate is these archers. They are within 6 of the leader. On a result of a 3, they are going to stumble. These Havoc warriors are going to try to rush up in this direction. And with a 6, they will succeed. Rushing puts them right here. And they're really more of a diversion. They're going to try to draw off the big guys over here. Speaking of the big guys, the Bone Giant is going to attempt to activate. He is at +1 on a result of a 7. He's going to be able to move 6 inches his own self. And wouldn't you know it, that is just close enough to get stuck in with these warriors. Kapow. The Bone Giant gets stuck in. He gets 8 attacks, quality 4. He has fear 2, and he hits with all 8 of his attacks. Havoc warriors defend on a 3 or better. They have to defend against all 8 attacks. They're going to be able to save 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. They take a total of 3 wounds. That means we will remove 3 of these warriors they can now attack back. Well, only 2 of them can. And with the result of a 4 and a 2, the big boy is going to have to pass 1. He fails. Oh, even with the +1 on his defense, he still fails and winds up taking a single wound. So I'm going to drop a red chip down. There's his single wound. He did a total of 5 hits. He has Fear 2. That forces a quality check, looking for a 3 or better. They fail. And that means he's shaken. Must stay idle, counts as fatigue. Always fails morale tests. Except that they are down to half of their unit strength. That means they are just removed from the table. Then this last unit of ogres gets to go, and we're still trying to get in contact with these spear guys. So that's what this is. On a 7, they will charge in, and we finally have a second round of combat here between 3 Havoc Ogres and 10 Skeletons. The Skeletal Spearmen have counter. They get to make the first attack. They also have a Sergeant. I'm going to roll 9 attacks for the regulars, +1 for the Sergeant. The red die will be hitting on 4s. Everyone else will be hitting on 5s. So the Sergeant misses, and we get 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 hits for the Spearmen. That means I have to make 6 saves for the Ogres, and the Ogres have a defense of 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. And they're going to fail 1 of those. The Ogres also have toughness 3, which, unless I miss my guess, means they take 1. They take 1 wound. You need to take 3 wounds to remove 1. That means that they're going to roll 3 of them, have 3 attacks, AP2, hitting on, that's a 1, that's a miss. They're hitting on 4s. They get 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 hits. The Skeletons have to roll 7 saves, and they are only saving on 6s. They get 1 of them, but that means 6 of them are removed. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. That does put them down to less than half strength. And because the Spearmen took more wounds, they have to make a morale check. Remember, they're undead. They have a banner, so they are at +1 to this. They pass on a 4 or better. With a 4, they're going to succeed. I'm just going to bring these around like that. So it's 4 on 3, and they are going to slow down the Ogres for 1 more turn. The last thing we need to do on this turn is roll to see if that last unit of Skeletons, see them way back there? Can they come on the table? With a 6, they can. They're just going to deploy 3 inches in. But I think we'll bring them in. That's pretty good right where they're at. We'll just bring them in right there. And again, like the other unit, they have a full complement of leaders. That's the end of turn 4. Let's turn our attention now to turn number 5. Keep your eyes on the prize. We're going to try to activate this guy. First, he wants to smash these skulls. The Harbinger is too far away. These ogres are locked in combat, so nobody gets the death march on turn 5. Looking for a high roll. On a 5, we score the first victory points of the game. First skulls are smashed. That will end his activation, unfortunately, and that leaves him vulnerable to the big boy barreling in. Now, the big guy, is he within 6 inches of his master? He is. I measure base to base for those. Tries to activate on a 2, +1. Oh, that's a close one. He has a quality 4. He rolls a 3. He says, I'm a little tired from stomping on all those little chaos warriors, and that does give our Havoc brothers, these ogres, an opportunity to smash this pile of skulls. That's what the game's all about. On a 6, they will be successful. That is their activation. That is now 50-50. Then oh boy, now it gets a little tricky. Let's go ahead and, I think we want to leave these guys here. We want to force these ogres to deal with these Skeletons. And I forgot to put a green chip down to mark that they haven't activated yet. So we're not going to activate them. Instead, why don't we go ahead and activate this guy? Do we do him or bring the archers up? Let's bring the archers up. I think that's probably a smarter play. The archers are also within 6 inches. If we activated the leader, See, there you go. There's 6 inches. They're going to race up, and they're going to be able to start taking pot shots at everybody. And if we'd activated the leader, then they would not have been in range, and this 4 would not have activated them. I think we made the right call. We're very good at miniature war games here. The next thing we'll do is activate these ogres, trying to get through the skeletons, free up some space. 6 will allow them to activate. They are still going to roll. Now, there's no counter here because the ogres didn't charge. So they're going to get all 9 of their attacks. And, oh, boys, you're going to have to do better than that. With a quality of 4, they're going to land a grand total of 1 hit. That's a little embarrassing, guys. 9 dice, 1 hit. And the skeletons are going to roll a 2. So the last of the normal spear skeletons crumbles to dust. We've got 3 counterattacks available to us, and we're going to hit on 2. Defense for the ogres is 4 up. They're going to take another wound, so 1 to 1, and we drop our second chip down. Do the skeletons cause fear at all? Just the regular skeletons? It looks like they don't. So with 1 to 1, nobody's going to have to make a morale check, and the play kicks over to the undead. Now we're going to have a wizard duel. The leader of the undead, the royal champion, tries to activate, and on a 6 he does. He can move up to 6 inches. He's going to move over to here, and he's going to try to cast a spell. Because he already had 6 magic points, he can't earn any more on this turn. That's all right. He is going to dump... Well, okay, so this is where I've never had a magic duel like this before, so correct me if I'm doing this wrong. He's going to cast Vengeance, which costs 3 spell points. See? And then... Oh, you know, I think I did the other spell wrong. It's 3 spell points, and then he's successful on a 4 or better. He's going to spend 4, 3, 2, and he's got 1 more spell point, but the guy he's casting it on is going to say, nope, I'm going to spend a point, make it a 3, 4, 5, 6. Oh, it's successful on a 5. So we are burning a lot of spell points, but this demon is really, he doesn't want to get hit by this spell. So we roll to see if it's successful. On a 5 or a 6, on a 5 it is. That has Blast 9. And I believe that means that it does 9 wounds to our Harbinger. He's got to make 9 saves. And he's only successful on a 3 or better. So of those 9, he's going to be successful 6 times. He's going to take 4 wounds, and he's got a total of 6 wounds altogether. That will leave the Harbinger with 2 wounds. He's got 6 altogether. He has tough 6. 4 wounds forces a morale check. He needs a 4 or better to stay on the table. He rolls a 1, and he's gone. He says, I don't need any more of that. A well-earned victory by the mummified undead. That's a lot of points off the table just like that. They're up to 330. They're not up to 50% yet, but it's getting close. It's not looking good for Team Havoc. Team Havoc has activated, well, they didn't activate this guy, but he's not gonna now, is he? They've activated everybody. The last 2 units to go are going to be this skeleton unit way back here. Can you even see it yet? They're way back there. You can just barely see them. There they are. Can they move up with a 6? Look at that. They're going to move 6 inches. That'll bring them up to here. Then these guys are going to try to activate. And with a 3, they're going to fail. They're pretty close to 6 inches, but they don't have it. So that's going to be the end of the turn. I'll move the rest of these guys up, and we can start on turn number 6. The green chips are down. The Havoc boss is going to try to activate on a 1. He will not. That leaves him vulnerable to a smash attack by the big guy, who also doesn't really want to do much this turn. We'll try to activate these guys. They activate on a 4 or better. They're quality 4. They're going to be able to move 6 inches, and unfortunately for them, that's going to leave them just shy. I actually measured this out. I wanted to make sure that there was at least 6 inches between each of the skull piles so that they would have to take 2 turns. That might have been a mistake. That might have unbalanced this scenario in favor of the mummified undead. I don't hear their clacking teeth complaining about it at all. The archers are going to go ahead and open fire. Oops, let's roll that on the table. On a 1, we're having the same motivational problems. We need to get somebody in here to give them a mighty fine speech. Then these ogres get to go as the last guys on that side of the table. And with a result of a 6, they are going to wind up and attack the remnants of the skeletons over here. And they hit on 4s, so we take out the misses, and we're going to get a total of 2, 4, 6. Oh, that's a miss. We're going to get 5 hits on those last 3 skeletons. Those skeletons have terrible defenses. They're going to fail 4 times. That's going to be the end of them. Now, there's no real penalty to the skeletons for losing half their force. And I can't remember. I think there's like a consolidation move that when you destroy somebody, but I haven't been using that, so I'm just not going to use it. That might have helped, particularly if you could make a 2 or like an 1.5 inch consolidation move closer to the skulls. These guys might have been in better shape. We're going to activate these guys next on a 5 or 6. They're not, well, I got a 3, so they don't. And then the leader over here is going to activate, and we just need to eliminate 1 more unit. So I think I'm going to like throw everything. Well, I'm going to roll a 1, so he's not going to activate. That's the end of turn number 6. Time is on the undead side. Moving to turn number 7, we're trying to activate the leader first. 3 or better. He does activate. We're going to start off. We got to smash up 1 more of these skull piles. I'm going to throw everything we have in that direction. He's going to use his ability to push these guys 3 inches over to here. 1, 2, 3. And they're going to run a screen for him as he races in this direction. They're trying to draw aggro from this giant bone beast, who's going to make the next activation. He's at +1. He gets a 3. The skeleton giant is quality 4. He will not be activating on this turn. Do we send these guys into combat against him? No, we got to move these guys next. And like so. On a 3 +1, because he can't, that's part of the reason he came over here. He needed to motivate these guys. They're going to move up into contact with the bone pile, which I think maybe they need to drive off the skeletons. Remember, they can stay back a 1/2 inch. This is a 1 inch base. I think that means that their leader is in contact, but they're beyond 1 inch. There's no like cover for it. But now these archers are going to try to go, and on a 5 or a 6, well, they're going to fail because they can shoot these guys up from a distance. Then these ogres have to go, and we have to decide what we're going to do with them. Let's go ahead and move up into contact with this guy. On a 3 or better, of course, they are at +1. Quality 3, +1 because the leader is there. They will charge into combat against the bone giant. And this could be interesting. Now, they get to attack first because they charged. And they're going to roll 9 dice. And they're going to hit on 4s. And they have AP 2. So they might do better than you think. Make sure I got the right number of dice here. I don't. Now I do. That is going to net them a total of 4 hits. The bone giant has a defense of 3, but with AP 2 on the attacks, he's only saving on 5s. Oh, 2 saves. That ain't bad. He's going to take 2 wounds. Now, he has fear, and he's going to swing back with his great weapon. He gets 8 attacks. 6, 7, 8. He has a quality 4. And he's going to get a total of 4 hits of his own. The Havoc Ogres have a defense of 4. They're going to take a total of 1, 2, 3 hits. Well, they're going to take 1 hit. That's going to eliminate one of the ogre warriors. Now, even though it's only one hit, because the skeleton giant has fear 2, it counts as 3. So it's 3 hits for the big guy to just 2 for the little guys. They have to take a morale check. And with a result of a 1, now they're not below half, so they are going to be shaken. And you know, it occurs to me that when you end, you have to like back off that 1 inch, right? So we will give them the shaken counter. The leader wants to activate. Roll into C on a 6. He will be successful. We're going to bring him around to right here. And he earns 3 spell points, which I think we'll spend them right now. We want to try and blast the enemy leader. No, we want to blast these guys. If we lose this, that's a problem. No, even better, desiccation. Cost 2 spell points. He's got 3. We're going to burn all 3 to be successful on a 3 or better. A 4 is successful. That hits these guys. Got to be within 4.5 inches. Are we? There's 4.5. Yeah, we are. Now that means this guy takes 1 hit with deadly 3. That has AP 4. This guy will only save on a 6. He fails, he takes 3 wounds, and that means this unit has to take another morale check. He is shaken. Does that mean anything? No. He has to stand around. He has to burn an activation to get rid of it. But he does have to take another morale check. And with a 4, he will be successful. Now, the reason we did that, so if he had failed that morale check, he would have left, and that would have been the end of the game. Turns out it's not the end of the game. These skeleton spearmen get to try to activate on a 5 or a 6. They fail. They're just going to stand around. It turns to Chapter 8 in our tale. Because they have fewer units, they stopped activating first. The Havoc brothers get to go, and we're going to nominate these guys activating on a 3 or better. They fail. That may be the end of the game, but you got to play it out, don't you? The leader is going to try to blast this guy. He's going to not activate. Then what do we do? Do we run away with this guy or do we run him up? Let's run him up. He does not activate. Then, wow, not a lot. Once again, we see that same thing. I wonder if we should bring the archers over to take a shot at this guy. If we can eliminate this guy, the game is over. That problem is it's 50-50 chance. I think we're going to activate these archers. Do we want to go melee with the archers? No, we want to use this guy. What am I talking about? The big guy, man, that's a whole lot of 1s, isn't it? Trying to activate him. On a 6, he will lose the shaken marker, and that's all he can do this turn. Now we have 2 more activations. These guys are going to try to shoot at the ogres. They activate on a 6. We're going to take 5 pot shots. The skeleton archers finally get a chance. They are going to be hitting on 5s or better. And man, what a shot that is. 4 hits on the ogres. Anything fancy about that? They have cursed ammo. Ooh, that sounds really good. What does cursed ammo do? I just looked it up. They ignore cover. That's it. 4 defense checks. Those ogres have a defense of 4 up. They're not going to take a single wound. And then we have the last unit is the spearmen trying to activate, and a 6 means they're going to be able to rush up. And on the next turn, we may just charge into combat with them. If they can get that all-important activation, and of course, they're going to be activating on 4s now, so there's a good chance that they will. That's the end of turn number 8. Moving on to turn number 9. It all comes down to this. Once again, can these guys activate? They got lucky that they get one more chance. As you can see, they are within 6 inches of the leader. They will be activating on a 3 or better. They are successful. Now they have to pass an activation. No +1 on this because it's not a leadership thing. It's a smash in the skull pile thing. They win on a 4, 5, or 6. Kabow. That's the third pile of skulls. The undead have failed, but I think you can see now that this is a very different experience. When you mash up a couple of different rule sets like this, the wargaming world is your oyster. You can pull scenarios from any game you want. Maybe you need to tweak the rules a little bit here. I think the activation system works really well. When you have just a nice round 12 turns, you can kind of anticipate, as we expected, in 9 turns, these guys got, what was it, 1 activation to get on, 2, 3 activations altogether. With a 5 up, they're going to activate 1 turn in 3. They got their 3 activations. So on balance, with the 5 units on the table, it's a little bit more predictable than you might expect. Now, you do have those weird swings. These guys failed to activate, and then, wouldn't you know it, we saw a string of 1s on activation. Everybody else failed to activate as well. We circle back around, and they get that second chance. The big green meanie, I think he looks a lot like River Troll. But again, he's from, most of these undead, by the way, come from alternative armies. They have a number of different kinds of skeletons. They have the kind of naked ones running around without any clothes on, and then these kind of pseudo-Roman ones. That's what I use for my champions, are these guys that look like Roman leaders. And then, you can get, they're pretty cheap, right? They're like 70 cents a figure when you buy them in pack. And then these are a little older sculpts, a little chunkier. I kind of like them. Next time you sit down to play one-page rules, don't be afraid to break away from the mold. Put your cards away. Put your objective markers away. Or use your objective markers in a way like you see in a game like Lion Rampant. It can be a lot of fun. Very different. Enjoyable. I stand corrected. I didn't think this would work. I thought that the 2 rule sets were too different for this to work. And I think we've proven that you can't predict. You can't just read a rule set and figure, well, I kind of figured it out. The proof is in the playing. And this is why we post receipts. This is why we stress test our games. This is why play testing is so important. Don't listen to the theory cells. Listen to the experience boys. They know how these things work in practice. Valuable lesson, not just for the wargame table, but for life in general. Hey, until next time, I'm praying for you.